Welcome to our lovely future humans, to the 5D collective, to those who are being their true self. So, being yourself, we're going to have some 5D mystic stories. And I'm going to start as a teenager, but first we're going to have some quotes. And if you're new, FYI, the 5D collective doesn't suffer life because we use our prefrontal cortex thanks to being mindfully aware, accountable, and regulating. And so when someone doesn't believe that we don't suffer, we leave it alone. And I get to make fun of our brothers and sisters of 3D, 4D. As an Akashic record reader, I continue to master my physical plane, and God does chime in, as He is discerning, equanimous, loving, and perfect in every way, shape, and form. So is Akash, Source, Anima Mundi, cosmic karmic balancing. We bring it all in, and the ones who are divisive, well, it's okay. We do understand how insecure human beings work, because I'm a human being myself, and I'm attachment trauma educated, I forgot. So magical thinking and adaptive child part people, the ones who have unhealthy self-soothing, and so they don't know how to be a wise man, because Hippocrates points out wise man knows health is important. They don't know how to be disciplined, so they don't actually heal, because they don't actually care to know how to be what is called mentally and emotionally intelligent, because they don't want the emotional intelligence, so they don't have the mental intelligence. So they don't harness the mind, because you need to harness the thoughts. But the feelings are what you harness first. So they don't they don't master themselves. And that's why they don't use the anchored in ventral energy. It's a superpower, apparently, to those who are not emotionally elite. So the 5D collective apparently are emotionally elite. And I say apparently because really all of God's children are emotionally, potentially elite. But like my Pinocchio friends and my facade and all my insecure friends, they're all adaptive child part who continue to let me know in my face, at least this time they're grown-ups, and they tell me how they're going to stay unhealthy. And I don't treat them like children, because even though their subconscious rules them, so their 0 8-year-old, their teenager thinks he's a badass or she's a badass or they're a badass, and they're not, because they're unhealthily self-soothing each other. Again, it's really thanks God, free will, he's reminding me, and or determined. Robert Sapolsky's book, he says you have none. So either or, really, I'm going to say love is all things. Love never judges. Love, yes, I can't read. Never obstructs. That's right, free will. So physically speaking, no mystic, no spiritual, no mindful human being will ever in any way, shape, or form, empowered feminine, obstruct free will. Because that's the one thing we know. I'm not here to make you be yourself and love yourself first. That's not my job. I can't make you believe in yourself. And I can't make you want to be a healthy, self-soothing person, because that's your choice. As Basil Vanderkolk points out to a guy who's interviewing him, you can't convince a friend to not marry the wrong person. I know all about it. I got a bunch of facade friends. So, meantime, as a teenager, I already knew what I'm about to read to you. Your mind is a miracle, the greatest gadget on the planet. If you take charge of your mind, especially when you are young, you can ensure health, peace, joy, and an ambience to explore human genius. So my stories are going to involve my teenage boyfriend. So I already knew about my mind being amazing, and feelings. I know about heart. Yes, I cried when I was 4 because I got rejected by boys. I got disowned by my twin at 8. I got to be freed from effective realism. So it's nice because I'm not actually, buffooned by my strong feelings. And I'm also not buffooned by my downloads. So I'm a pure channel because Maria is already aware of herself. And then she also knows, thanks God, the humility thing. He kept me far away from people so that I wouldn't make an actual mistake. And then he also continues to remind me not to judge my brothers and sisters of human suffering, a waste of my fucking time. It's why Buddha and I have a thing. I make fun of him because he sat under a tree. And I said, well, I'm happy that the future Buddha is coming, because we need the future Buddha to walk with people and make sure they understand. Yes, yoga is a ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises. And yes, meditation helps with mindfulness practices, because it helps you to move, to use your brain in a way of focusing attention, being in awareness, and then the gratitude. But in maximum uncertainty, you need therapy if you have the child parts of yours, the 0-1 attached panicky and the 3-7 shame submissive, to hold so people who don't go to therapy, they have a story that they're superheroes and supervillains, and that apparently many will be called but few will be chosen. Right here is a mystic who's going to say, that's not nice. God doesn't like that his children actually play favorites amongst each other. And that's why he made sure that I wouldn't actually go into people's faces to tell them things that I think about them. he waited till I got all attachment trauma educated. No, he didn't, and just messing with you. But I'm very happy that he actually did keep me away. So when people talk to me about the suffering business, I say, look, God is great. My good Christian Catholic catechist taught me how people turn their back on God, and now they're still using the story of Lucifer. But there's no monsters inside of anybody because, like neuroscientists are proving, Patrick McNamara, there's what's called decentralizing and the self, and then these religious experiences actually can flip a switch. So once you're a person who loves yoga, the next moment you're spreading a rumor about it, bringing demons out of you. That's called a bad decentralizing in the self with religious experience, and it's because somebody from the other side said yoga brings demons out of you. It's a bad thing because they also decided to tell you Reiki's a bad thing. Tarot's a bad thing. And I asked about this to somebody who I trust, and they said, Maria, but if we let everyone in and everything in, then we're going to let bad juju in. And I had to look at them and say, so you're telling me, well, Maria, God doesn't need science. So you're telling me that because, you're just going to have to accept that you're going to be rejected. I know the look. I've told people about demonic possession. This is a person who's telling me how they got treated like a piece of shit. And so they're really like happy at this point. Their subconscious is ruling them. That's why you don't tell an adaptive child part anything. You just think, wow, we're also all nervous systems. So we wear our hearts on our faces, not only on our sleeves. And I'm all attachment trauma educated. And this was a recent conversation. So I know the person very well, which is why I wasn't surprised as they're telling me, you're just going to have to, so sorry, accept that you're rejected. And as if I really give two shits about being rejected. I don't. I was actually trying to get the explanation of how they're actually buffooning people as where's my paper? Prophecy. Speaking forth the mind and heart of God. How dare you think that God would be divisive? He encourages, comfort, challenges, or strengthens. So God is perfect and all his children are perfect, and scientists prove it. This is why, as this human being is explaining to me something that I am just listening to because I'm trying to understand what the words that they're deciding to use. And in fact, he even went as far as to tell me some other stuff, which I'm not going to reveal. But he's basically letting me know, I'm so sorry because, I was looked at like I'm crazy, he's saying. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. Patrick McNamara has proof. Scientists have proof of how every embodied brain works. And I have proof of all the ones who reject good therapy because they had shitty shit go down and they don't want it. So when you do see people rejecting therapy and thinking they're brilliant and they tell you I'm healthy as can be, as you're not even talking about them and they're a heart attack waiting to happen, you just think nothing except for Stephen Porges, man. I hope more therapists learn from you because these people are coming up with stories that are beyond the bejesus of me. Nobody even interrogated them. I didn't even look at them. Like, I wasn't insinuating you weren't healthy. We were talking about another random human being. And so anyways, let me put this one aside. Once you have no expectations of what the other should do, you will have a successful relationship. So let us allow Maria to finish with the quotes. One thing every human being can strive for is to leave this world a little bit better than it was when you entered it. Thank you, said Guru. I will plan on leaving a legacy of every human being has the capacity to go with the flow, be emotionally, mentally, physically intelligent, and that's by choosing to stay open-hearted and remembering God doesn't make mistakes. There's no monsters inside any person. When people want a team, they can go have it. It's called an adaptive child part. They got a good group and a bad group. We're not morons. So unless you're a child who needs a good and bad group, you can go somewhere else. Suffering life is because there's a Zen master who doesn't know how to use his prefrontal. That's why determined. You might be spot on, Robert Sapolsky, because you know what? I have noticed a bunch of buffoons thinking they're brilliant. In the meantime, I'm thinking nothing except for I didn't ask you to do anything, but don't act as if you're brilliant. Because if you're a wise man, you know health is important, or a wise woman, or a wise day. If you're a smart human being, then you know discipline is something flexible. And if you're even smarter, then you will have learned from neuroscientists, neurobiologists, and mental health professionals how to become your best version. So when I am speaking, I am looking to all of you because I don't want any people who don't like emotions at IHP. Because there's a bunch of them. I've met the copycats, the please-appeasers. They don't even know they're doing it. So this is why I try to make it very clear. We don't have one group, a good group, one good. If you're a kid, that you shouldn't be here. This is it's the year 2025. And I didn't make my content available to children. And when I meet grown-ups who are buffoons, I can tell who they are too. Because I'm pseudoscience, they're pseudo-intellectual. And so if you're an intellectually smart person, you're going to be as, I like Terry Real for a reason. He just tells you straight in the face, okay, now that you got it off your chest, how about you apologize to the person you're treating like shit? I'm not a therapist on purpose. And so you don't have expectations from people that are insecure because, like my facade friend, they pretend to be a person because they're afraid to be their true self. And then they're doing a whole bunch of stuff that's really irritating, but above all, it's unhealthy for them. So as a teenager, I didn't need too many of experiences to make sure that I would use my time wisely. You're out, you're out, you're out maybe means you're out, 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 in, and that's it. And that's why God taught me not to play know-it-all by the time I was 20, because I was like, there's no Lucifer, just cowards. You're going to hear these stories again and again, because the point of it is when I hear the word betrayal and people who have a breakup. Okay, so we're going to get to 3 twin flames and soulmates, oversoul, all this stuff that you've heard of drama, the drama kings and queens of the 4D plane. Yes, it's a gazillion people. If they used good therapy, they would get over themselves real quick. Patrick Tiahan, Terry Real, 2 great therapists. They wouldn't be watching videos of how to watch their fucking back. They'd be aware of, oh, look, I have a bad gut. I've told people about the bad gut thing. Do you think they went to therapy? No. Actually, 10 years down the line from when I began ascending, they're all still doing the same shit. In fact, actually, I have 2 human beings that I'll never forget. They're coming to me for tarot. I'm like, look, you don't need the tarot. What you just described to me, here's my attachment educational certificates. I know exactly what you just told me. You don't have relationships. What you got going on here are unavailable men, and they're really needing help. And you both apparently might want to consider something. And they laughed with me, and I said, okay, so you're good, right? Guess what? Did they break up? No, because that's exactly why Patrick Tiahan is right. You're not going to actually raise your frequency and get out of childhood trauma. No, you're going to continue holding on to a relationship that doesn't work. And then, as Dr. Amy Apigan points out, people who do bad resilience. So when people don't take their subconscious and embodied brain seriously, and to a therapist, they don't go, they like to just flock YouTube and make us very well aware of how they're lightning. So teenager Maria met all these people, which is why I don't actually think of them as anything different than the insecure teenagers. The difference is I knew immaturity as a teenager is normal, but then once you're grown up, I thought that's fascinating. No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I didn't realize that I was dealing with insecure people until I got all attachment trauma educated. So, the most dangerous person in your life are the ones who make you comfortable with mediocrity. Thank you, Dan Martell. I've never hung out with mediocre people because they're boring. I don't talk to people who are lacking emotional intelligence because they have an agenda every time they speak, and I just want to have fun, and I don't have an agenda, which is why, furthermore, they don't know everything. Then they act like they do when they want to prove things. It's also why I have fun with people who interrupt me. Excuse me, you're confusing science spirituality. This is a random human being as I'm having a very important conversation. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm bringing them together. And he's like, no, because I'm a mystic too. That's called comparing oneself to another person. Nobody asked him, but he's an insecure person who's ruling with his 0-8-year-old. I have fun with it because I'm not an insecure person, and I also am not trying to prove something. Plus, I was having an interesting conversation. Plus, I don't have any expectations from people because I've met plenty of buffoons who don't know how to notice that you can't heal if you don't acknowledge that there's a problem, and who doesn't notice that a fool with a tool is still a fool. So people can use all the words they want. As I notice, if they don't know how to handle open-ended inquiry, the 2 sides of the brain, then they're not going to be back at IHP because they don't believe in love. They believe life is full of suffering, and in fact, they're the same types of people. There's 2 kinds. The ones who are happy when things go the way they want, and I don't find the other quote. And then there's the ones who basically complain if it doesn't go the way they want. Then they turn their back on whatever is their story, and they say it's not real. And that's why they actually changed it up with the whole twin flames. It was very fascinating to see people betray their own oversoul again and again, and then think, wow, they really don't know what love is. Okay, so what do you think love is? Love means that I'm not going to be expecting that you are any different than who you are. You're going to be who you are. I'm going to want you to be happy. I'm going to want you to be healthy. I'm going to want you to be yourself. That's what love is. So as a teenager, this is exactly why the teenage boyfriend, I don't change. I'm me. I got to my 3rd serious relationship, and when I'm getting broken up, I thought you would change. I said, what? Come again? I told you I don't change. So when people think that you need to change, number one, some people change because they go to therapy and they become their real self. And then they're now experiencing what it means to be their self. I'm experiencing being myself since I was a kid. So I don't change, I expand to become more. Then there's the part of us not suffering. So people who don't understand when we're using our prefrontal cortex because they don't do it yet. You can't teach a person how to self-regulate. They can learn it from a therapist. Once they have identified how to own their sense of self, they'll know why I say there's no energy vampires. Until that moment, they're going to have a blank stare, and I'm going to say, when you're done with your therapist, come back around, we'll talk about it. So when people want to pretend to be that which is a mystic in 5D, a spiritual one in 5D, and I say pretend because, again, I've met them throughout my years. I got a 4D one, and she's coming into my mind right now as she came from a special star. And I thought when she was having such a hard time reading tarot, why are you having a hard time again? You come from a special star, like, what's the deal? And why is your twin flame driving you crazy? It's not that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, we know masculines are going to do their thing, but just... So the masculines are very much, how do I explain it? The most precious thing is life itself. Will you realize this now or only on your deathbed? Death do part, sickness and health, for better, for worse, for rich or for poor. And so those words meant something when I was a kid. They still mean the same thing, but now I'm attachment trauma educated. A human being who wants to tell me they love without taking care of themselves or of others and not noticing how health works mentally, emotionally, physically, you don't know love yet. Because if you did, then you'd know how you would want every single person to have it, and you'd know that it's completely accessible from a personal spiritual growth perspective, because this is where IHP is about points of views and life based on how you live life, inspiring human potential. The focus is you being the best version of yourself. The only reason you wouldn't be the best version of yourself is because you're not yourself yet. My facade friend, he's not the best version of himself. My facade friend, who I yelled in his face, is the reason why I don't yell in anyone's face. Attachment trauma educators are the reason I was very thankful once I figured out, thank you God for keeping me away. And that's because I learned all about what the fragile ego is. And the fragile ego is fragile to the point of where a man will look in a screen, think he's badass, as he says, if you look away, my confidence will be eroded, not unplug his ears to notice, am I weak? Yeah, dude, you are, because I am a societal being. But guess what? You don't, your thumbs up and down mean nothing to me, because I've seen what people who live shame do with their thumbs. And that's exactly why, as a teenager, all I needed was a handful of cowards, and then I met the second batch, and then I met the third batch, and the fourth. By the time you get to college and you see grown-ups not becoming grown-ups, you think nothing of it. And that's why I thanked God. Because once you're a mystic and you know your oversoul, this is empowered feminines don't get tested by masculines. When you hear all the saga that goes on, those aren't empowered feminines. If they were, then they wouldn't be talking about masculines the way they do. They'd be very quick to understand if their free will is choosing to stay in their low frequency, so be it. They made their choice. They didn't choose love. They chose unhealthy fear. It's called they need a therapist. It's a very straightforward equation. That's it. You have healthy fear, you're going to treat people with respect. You don't have healthy fear, you don't know how to talk to somebody in their face. Do you know what that means to a person who doesn't have fear of telling you what they think? I'm trying to let you know. I'm not afraid to tell someone what I think because I have a twin. There's fighting like cats and dogs. I know all about splinters and ruptures, and I got disowned. So, I mean, I have a reason why I can do it. And then I have news for you with the faith thing. So if you're in communion with God, you know he's never going to punish you in the way that these ridiculous human being grown-ups who are very disappointing talk about, because they obviously had monstrous parents. They had monstrous someone. Because the minute you would think of God as this monster that's going to come and frightened to the bejesus of that's just ridiculous. Like, anyone of faith would be like, what are you talking about? And so when you have to hear stupid stories of bad JoJo and Juju, you just think, well, the fools are falling for it because they don't want to go and heal themselves with someone called Patrick Tiahan or Terrio. We leave it alone because that's how it works. I leave alone the fools, so I don't want to hang out with them. And I don't actually think of anyone owning words or owning books or owning God or owning source or divine. And so when somebody gets all technical, which is one of the reasons why I turn off the comments on YouTube or any of it, if I can, I don't want those people who have nothing better to do with their life than actually come in, engage with content that they go open your channel, go have, at least there are people like this cynic who's having his time, but leave other channels alone. Instead, no, what you want to do, well, then again, there's the relationship soul age. So some people just don't have things that they want to do in life. Let me leave that alone, because every one of our brothers and sisters has free will. So if somebody doesn't want to make it over the hump, they won't make it over the hump, and they'll stay basically what is called Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Lost Boys, adapted child part people. So emotionally immature people, they cut each other out, they cancel, they block, all that great stuff. No, it's all ridiculous. They use words, you're gaslighting, you're this, you're that. And so they want people to take their sides. And when you have a person who says, look, there's always two sides to a coin, why don't you take my side? Why didn't you? It's like, okay, look, there's always two sides to a coin. I'm just saying subjective reality. You don't know about it? Like, really? Are you going to be reactive like this again? So as I got older, I don't do any of this. I just tell you funny stories because I think it's ridiculous when I've met them. Like, how old are you? Why are you so insecure? I have a hard time. No, I don't have a hard time looking at people anymore because now that I have all the attachment trauma education, I'm dealing with a child. So I just remember that I'm dealing with a 0-8-year-old and that their 14-month-old isn't owned and that their grown-up is the best version of themselves, but it's a teenager who's following a leader who told them every truth that they're going to spit out of their mouth, and then they got a bunch of books that they're going to throw at you, and then they're going to continue thinking the past is the real truth, and you're going to think you're living in your past. Oh my God, oh, this is amazing. There's no Lucifer inside people. Please stop. They proved epilepsy is not the wrath of the gods. They're proving, yes, by proof, I mean they have data, not that they're making up in their magical batons. Okay, so when somebody of spirituality says, we need to prove spirituality, you think, oh, wow, you obviously don't know who God is. Okay, you know what? We're going to leave that alone because it's in the invisibility land, and even scientists know about the invisibility land. So as I'm growing up, again, I just didn't bother with any of the buffoons because I didn't realize, since I wasn't attachment trauma educated, that I actually needed to watch myself every time I spoke. So now that I know, though, is really great. So here's the deal with the twin flames. Yeah, sure, they're amazing. I'm so grateful. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to be here for the 5D collective. So when Twin Flame 1 came around, amazing. Twin Flame 2 was, oh wow, that's a surprise, but there was a theme, so I knew what the theme was. Twin Flame 3, I thought that would seal the deal, and as I was going through the motion without knowing everything, so it's true, and you don't know anything, but don't call it dark night of the soul, ego death. Just don't dress it up. Don't dress up stories. So all you need is love. Angels. Okay, now, as I continue to tell you the story, remember teenage boyfriend? When he finally broke up, he didn't admit to the last cheating incident, and I wasn't surprised, but I also wasn't really caring because I knew I would get over it, because that's how it works. Breakups don't make you turn into, I don't love them anymore, I turn my back. Like, this never made sense. If I chose to be in a relationship with you, that means we share things that are beautiful. That's it. It doesn't change just because now our dynamic has changed. Our dynamic changes because that means we're not compatible, especially if you're going from being a teenager to then being a grown-up. Like, these are actively, to me, something normal. I didn't realize how many insecure human beings we had out there. And to this day, when I'm watching some woman say, watch your fucking back, and doing videos like that, I'm like, it's really hard to keep, it's not hard to keep a relationship, lady. Actually, not even close. That seems more like you're having a hard time. Like, wow, it's really not hard. If that's hard, go to Terry Real. He'll make it easy for you because you need a mediator. So if you don't know how to speak to a person who you're calling a significant other, what kind of a relationship is it? So the part about the twin flame is that you'll know like that. And so at the point in which a storm presents itself, if you're in communion with God, you don't have questions. And when you're channeling and downloading, I'm trying to bring you up to speed. Okay, you're not curious necessarily either, but you'll get curious. Now, Maria has no attachment trauma education. I have faith in God. I know exactly what he wants from me, and I know exactly how to hear his timbre, and I know exactly how he will keep us all humble. And the only ones who don't know humility are the same ones who I don't listen to. So you don't look up or down to people, but you better bet I don't look to the mediocre human beings out there who are spiritual bypassers, who don't know how to be discerning, they don't know equanimity, they don't know love, and they don't know how to wield their nervous system because they haven't taken the time to take themselves seriously, honor themselves, reparent their inner child, learn to self-regulate, then talk to me, because now you're using your prefrontal cortex. Until the moment of them not doing any of that, they're living magical thinking, they're using an amygdala, they have a bunch of stuff going on, and I'm going to, again, leave it alone because I did get the timeline, and they said it, 3D, 4D is going to stay committed. And I know exactly why. Because that trauma stuff is serious business. It's not some small feat. And so it's none of my business, because it actually is that painful for people to have trauma charges inside of them that come from self-loathing, gut wrench, torn apart. So this isn't funny. While I make humor and I talk, the moment I got all attachment trauma educated, I was leaving my classrooms with all these other people just bawling my eyes out and completely sad for these people who need healing. But then I got to realize that they don't want it. And that's between the Pinocchio people to the other ones, and then to knowing how lovely Ruth Lanus, Bethany Brand, and Bezel van der Kolk, and Stephen Porges, and all of them, Janina Fisher, talk about it. So by being a body that's not with any kind of self-loathing, gut wrench, torn apart, I'll never know the hellhole that it is, nor will I ever know being afraid of being Maria, or of visiting my own emotional body. Okay, so with that being said, I understand with great sadness that which is people who will not join our community due to them getting, in this human lifetime of now, the short end of the stick. And due to other human beings continuing to terrorize human beings, we have more of them being born as we speak and coming into the mix. And we will not be passing down self-righteous, contemptuous batons, because that's the part. While some people think I may be insensitive, I'm not. I'm just not giving anybody a green or red pass. I'm saying it's straightforward. You do therapy, become an awesome person, because you're going to become loving at some point if you ever forgive what happened to you and stuff like that. You don't want it, it's okay too. You're just going to be like any of the other people who like to tell me how great they're doing and how humanity is and da-da-da-da. So inspiring human potential means that you're going to leave a legacy behind that shows humanity what they're capable of. So you get curious. Also, God's perfect, by the way. And so is cosmic karmic balancing. So if you are a mystic, if you are spiritual, this is the hypocrisy of the spiritual bypassers. They would know how to not need to worry. I'm laughing right now because I'm trying to think, Buddha, come on over for a minute. I forget always. There's this way. It's if you smile, if you knew what was happening all the time, something like that, that you would be smiling. So there's someone who talks about this philosophy. And so any of those enlightened spiritual masters will tell you everything's going to be fine. And here's where, as the Dalai Lama got challenged by this human being who's like, how dare you smile in the face of all this suffering? And lovely Sadhguru also talks about how to respond and not suffer, but that's a whole different story. Here's where the quote that I have is from lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel. We can approach life with laughter and love, not in spite of all the suffering, but actually because of it. That we have a kind of responsibility to bring joy into the world. So once you understand what trauma and attachment stuff is, and then you know exactly who God is and all of that stuff about the kingdom of God within you from Jesus, it all matches up. So with that, today, what I can tell you about all my mystic stories are that, thank goodness, I was kept far, far, far away from those who would have had no problemo telling them exactly how I think. Today, will Maria tell people exactly how she thinks? No, because already my facade friend taught me what buffoons do. They just say yes, and then they're not listening to you. And Stephen Porges, and science continues to prove itself true. When people get triggered into either mobilization or defense, they will develop elaborate narratives to make sense of themselves. Ego is boring and annoying, and ignorant people continue to be ignorant and suffer life and to be immature. So there's no reason for me to waste my breath on any of those who will ignore the signs of something very clear. And that's why you don't make a person less of a lover if you're not a lover. A person who's a lover stays a lover because we stay open-hearted. And it isn't because of another person. It's because we self-regulate in our nervous system, and you can't break a heart. It's made of muscles, and it actually just needs a hug from a person who actually cares about the person in front of themselves. And that's called secure attachment, non-traumatized. So the teenagers think this means fakeness. I think, no, it's not, but I'm not going to try making a Zen master into a true Zen master when he tells me he has laundry because he doesn't know how to cry right. And I won't tell a cynic he's a cynic when he's saying, I want it to be about what is right, now it feels right, because that's totally bullshit. And when somebody wants to look in my face and tell me that I'm stupid or pretending, I'll just say, sure I am. And in the meantime, God is perfect in every way, shape, and form, because when I was dealing with Twin Flame 3, even though I didn't know anything, I said to myself, and I told one of my good friends, I said, I know one day I'm going to find out what this storm is. And when I do, that day will be a day that I will smile, the biggest smile that there will have ever been. And so it was. And then I also left myself flowers along the way. And then I got all attachment trauma educated, and then I was like, oh, thank God. Thank you for not having me be in the vicinity of someone who I would have definitely shattered in a million pieces, and that would have not been nice, because nobody chooses to have their trauma stuff. And so with that being said, is it fair that some people get the short end of the stick? No. But is it fair that some people don't get the short end of the stick and get to hear about all the short? Is life ever fair? Really, who's bringing forth the equation of fair and unfairness? The same people who don't actually think to understand, what are you, a grown-up or a kid? Because when somebody wants to use the words to me, I say, we are 8 billion people. We can achieve that which is anything we want, because humanity is capable of it. And those who have a problem, well, we stay away from them, as Albert Einstein points out, because they present us a problem for every solution. So when you are a person who's emotionally, mentally intelligent and being yourself, you don't back down and you don't back off, and you can't lose, because there's no losers. There's only winners. And the only ones who are competing are the same ones who won't be around the ones of us who know how to handle ourselves, because they suffer life. So they can't handle what is called ventral energy. And that you really don't get into that kind of a pissy mood to the extent of where you're suffering. And really, it's because when you're in a ventral energy state, their body is consistently being reminded of what they're capable of. And so they just, that Dana informed me of this. This is not like, so when you hear someone saying God's protecting you, the 5D collective, we are being kept away from people because we're a tribe with a vibe. We are all embodied brains. So I don't attract people who have insecurities because I'm not insecure. And I don't play the fantasy stages. You see what I'm saying? And if they do come near me, I will reiterate my healthy boundaries without any problemo, which is why I said it's not about decency inside, and I didn't become their friends. It's a stranger. But yeah, when I look to the past, I think I'm really blessed. I have a beautiful bunch of people in my life, and more than just that. And when I think of twin flames, well, there's a couple of things that are sad. Out of the 3, 2 for sure. I'm just like, they definitely could have gotten somewhere. But as for the third, I think they'll be okay. I'm not sure yet, because there's still a lot of other stuff. Soulmates, they're doing great. Oh, let me think. There's some people that are not physically here anymore. And with that, that's, that actually, those are some other stories. So in these cases, let me think how to explain it. As Hippocrates points out, a wise man knows that health is important. And as he also points out, people who say they want to heal once discipline is presented. People who are being their self smart, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. We're going to have a 5D mystic, skeptic, nutritionist diary entry at some point. But you can't make someone believe in themselves. You can't make someone love themselves. Teenage boyfriend. It's a shame what happened to him, but he didn't believe in himself, and he wanted somebody to dictate the show and actually tell him everything to do with life. It's not only man, women, anyone who doesn't take charge of their life. My facade friend, he consistently gave up on pursuing his dreams. So when someone doesn't become their true self, it's very much something called, they don't expand. It's not a big deal. It's just something that happens. You can't feel sorry for people, because that's disrespectful. As again, God chimes in, free will is gifted so that one can choose. If you want to believe the scientists who say you have no free will, then there you go. Some people will have a short end of the stick, but I beg to differ, because there are therapists who help anybody who wants to become their true self to do so. So anyone with a short end of the stick can actually move their body, mind, brain, and self to getting the good end of the stick. It's all about mindset, because you can move into good resilience at some shape or form or place. Okay, so the part about easy, hard, nobody brings it into the mix. Unfair, fair, yeah, we all know about it. Again, 8 billion people. Anyone grounded in reality? If you are, then you're going to be a grown-up about it. If you are a magical thinker, hopeful, insecure, and afraid, you're going to keep wanting a big superpower to be able to take care of everything, versus know that we are the ones who lead the way. So humanity here at IHP, it's only going to be inspiring human potential with love and healthy fear. We picked man, not bear. Healthy fear means that you know what physical threats are, and you have a good gut. The ones who are confused, that's why therapy helps them to get out of the bad gut that they got when they were a kid growing up, because that's what happens when you actually doubt neutrality, kindness, and anything that is in the open-endedness, because watching your fucking back is what you got used to. So it's kind of like with my diet. Things have been going great. I told you about my regular bowel movements, and that's because I have IBS. So that's a very good example, because it took me I think the first couple of weeks I was like, kind of like, this is weird. When's it coming? Okay, so that's the only thing I can actually, it's something small in my personal subjective opinion compared to somebody who has major trauma, which is why I will not ever say to somebody, you have to go to therapy. That's something they need to, if they want to do. Otherwise, I know how painful the whole self-loathing gut wrench is, so I'm not going to say it's great that they don't want to heal, but I'm not going to say that we can actually make them choose love, because it's scary since they didn't get it. So I'm just saying, I had to get familiar with, oh, look, it's all good. And it's something small, which is why trauma is healable, but only when the person acknowledges it and then goes on a big, big journey and they walk them out of hell. And that's how some therapists talk about it. And it's great. I honor Kylie. She's a narcissist who's healing. I honor a bunch of people who, some with dissociative disorders are healing, others psychopathy healing. I don't honor the ones who want to talk to us about the philosophy of evil. I honor that there are people who give other people a home, the ones who are ignorant to the point of where they don't have somehow learning, they don't believe in science, education, whatever it is. So I know that they have a place to call home, because they won't believe in the good news, which is, the kingdom of God and heaven is within every person. It's called people who become the integrated brain, their true self, restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, and anyone can at this point do it. As Ruth Lanus points out, the whole goal of trauma treatment is to help people feel safe in their bodies, so people can become what they were always meant to become, which is why it's a sad story and disappointing to see the grown-ups who are not speaking in favor of, let's all make the world a better place, let's all get healthy for real. And that's by becoming compassionate. But here's where some people think that that's not possible, because again, imagine somebody testing kindness again and again and again because they don't believe in it. Imagine somebody testing neutrality, not believing in it, and thinking you're still hiding something. So imagine instead somebody who's met 1 coward, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't watch my back, because the minute you backstab it, I just know I got a coward in front of me. And thanks to my facade friend, I don't say shit about it. Now I know what you're made of, Cusco. That's it. Because they also can't do much with a dysregulated body. Distress is actually something that is not good for them. It's a sad story, because again, the body can do good restorative and body resilience, or there's the bad. So at the end of the day, be yourself authentically, the smart way. Join us, and let's leave our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters alone. If they do want to join us, they will know how to. And once they do, they'll have a good time like we're going to have a good time. And the future, it'll be fine. We'll have some more episodes, but not tonight. For now, I'm going. Have a good one.